Okay. The old market. Ought to be this way.
Find him.
Crap.
Go, go, go!
So Uncharted 2 is clearly one of the most important releases for Sony and Naughty Dog this year.
Yeah,
And Nathan Drake, he's a stud.
sure.
But the actual game.
The actual game is really good, and it shouldn't come as a surprise, this being a game from Naughty Dog, of course. Naughty Dog really, really, really knows their stuff, and have very, very rarely disappointed. And of course, depending on what your expectations are for this game, they don't disappoint with the sequel.
Because that's one of the things when they showed it at E3. The graphics blew everyone away.
The graphics are absolutely spectacular. I mean, it's if not the best graphics in a game today, it's definitely some of the best graphics you'll probably see this year and maybe even on this console generation. And it's not so. It's not only because they know their stuff technically. It's also because they have just had the vision to carry out some amazing scenes. I mean, when you reach Nepal, you'll just climb on top of buildings and just see buildings. I mean, tons and tons and tons of buildings that you'll never reach, but they're just there in the background because there's so much horsepower in the console that they have been able to pull this off, and it looks amazing. I can't say enough good about the graphics.
If we look at, for example, let's start out with storyline, for example. Because the old Uncharted 2, Uncharted 1, the storyline was kind of, you know, as I've heard you say, like a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
Old matinee movie, adventure movie, kind of.
Well,
It's the same thing here?
It's the same with the sequel, and more than once I was actually sitting there just enjoying the cutscenes because the cutscenes are so well done, and actually thinking, well, this is so entertaining that I would rather watch this than most of the other movies released in this sort of category, this action adventure category. And again, that's partly due to the technical finesse of a team like Naughty Dog, because the virtual acting in this game, if you can call it that, is by far the best I have ever seen in a game. I mean, not only do they make it so that you care about the characters, the dialogue is also very well written, and the story itself is just like this sort of story should be. You know, lots of mysteries, lots of dungeons, lots of puzzles left behind by ancient civilizations and stuff like that. And it's just like you imagine it will be, but it's the kind of quality that you only see in very good movies of this sort.
Okay, so we have the graphics out of the way, we have the storyline out of the way, and then we come to the actual playing of the game.
Mm.
How is the gameplay in Uncharted 2?
It's for the people who played the first one, it's more of the same. But for the people who didn't, it's partly puzzle solving and it's gun shooting action game. And the gun shooting has actually become a much larger part of the sequel than in the first game. But starting out with the puzzles are actually really good, and that comes down to them being cleverly thought out, but also that the controls are very sharp. What you should keep in mind, though, is that this is a game that very much leads you in the right direction, never really giving you the time to wonder what to do next. It won't stress you with very hard puzzles or anything, and some people might take offense to this because there's not really that much puzzle solving in it. Also, the controls, if you played some of the first Tomb Raider games, there was a lot of satisfaction in actually solving the jumping parts and knowing where to go next. And in Uncharted 2, it almost seems automatic at times, where you just need to push the analog stick in some direction and he'll grab out and almost indicate which way you'll have to go next, and you just have to push the jump button and he'll do it all himself. So I would have liked some more, just some more taxing puzzles in that way.
Some of the critique against the first Uncharted was that the gunplay mechanics weren't all that good. How do you think that Naughty Dog have improved that part of the game from the sequel?
That's actually my main gripe with the sequel. The gunplay isn't really very strong, and that's not because I'm comparing it to a game like Gears of War. I can't explain why, but Naughty Dog have chosen to make it so that, for instance, an enemy has to be hit sometimes up to 8 times before he decides to just lay down and die. Of course, you can always go for the headshot, but that depends on the weapons that you carry. And the weapons themselves just doesn't pack the punch that weapons should. They're way too imprecise, so oftentimes you will just spray and pray. And it just doesn't make for fun gunplay. That combined with an AI that is really, really lacking. I mean, you can hit a guy, he will stop, look for you, and just carry on, even though I supposedly just hit him with a bullet in his leg or something. You can throw grenades and they will not notice anything. And it jars so much because the rest of the package is so strong. I mean, the production values are just, like we talked about before, just amazing. And when you see a part of a game that really just doesn't gel with the rest of the package, it just makes for some really, really boring gunplay and really, really lacking gunplay.
And the way I've understood it is that is actually a rather big part of the game now.
Yeah, it's I can't really put a percentage on it, but I would say it's more than the last time, so it's probably around 50%. And we have 50% of the game that's just not working as good as the rest of the game. It really gets noticeable.
One of the things that Naughty Dog, though, have been talking a lot about is the stealth system and the stealth takedowns.
Yeah.
What do you think about?
Well, it's a cool gimmick, but it really isn't implemented in the game so much that you really take notice. It's possible to do stealth takedowns a couple of times in the game, and of course, if you really choose to do it, you can probably do it more. But there's rarely an opportunity where it's dependent of you. So, but it's it's okay. It works like in most every other game, but it's nothing.
At the end of the day, as we said in the beginning, this is one of the most important releases from Sony this year. This is what they want to sell PS3s.
And it will.
You think it will?
Definitely, it will. It's an absolute masterpiece when it comes to presentation and what's possible to do with games today. I mean, it's amazing to look at, and a lot of people will love to play the game. But I wouldn't classify it as a masterpiece.